Welcome to the UCL week number 7. My name is Benny Love. I'll be your play-by-play. With me tonight, we have Go for Eno. He'll be your color caster. How you doing tonight as we're jumping into picking bands?
Pretty good, pretty good. Aside from all the craziness that has been happening in the world recently, but hey, we do have a good game here tonight between First Blood Marauders and the University of Michigan's esports club.
Yeah. And I believe, just to clarify as well, Michigan Esports is on the left side and First Blood's on the right side. That's where the bands are being locked in. As you said, I think we were very grateful that we're kind of at home, staying safe, staying sanitary. First bands of the first round are almost complete. Looks like MSU has taken away the Aphelios, Yumi, and waiting on that final ban here in just a couple of moments.
It's gonna be the Vladimir here, so very interesting. Because Aphelios, he's definitely been strong and he still continues to be strong, although he has taken several repeated nerfs. Granted, they weren't like completely gutting the champion nerfs, but they were like a definite drop in power. So we'll have to see if that's because Aphelios is still very high priority to these teams, or if he's just still a strong overall AD carry right now.
It does give you a lot of late game potential. You play around it, a lot of team fighting. So 4 bot lane bans already being targeted, taken away. We're going to see the first pick in just a couple of moments. Looking at the side of First Blood, I like it. They take away a lot of that engage. So in some ways, I kind of like that. In other ways, you like team fights. You like a lot of action. Set being locked in first for the side of MSU.
Yep, if you want action, Set is definitely a champion to pick for that. Because his whole kit is designed to brawl. And that's usually conducive to pretty exciting top lane matchups.
Yeah, it's very not often, actually, that you don't see a set in your game. So being locked in first round, I mean, maybe that's a priority for this team. And for the side of First Blood Marauders, seeing the Xayah being locked in the first round, along with the Olaf. Olaf, a very strong jungler at this point in this patch. How do you feel about the Xayah, though, being locked in so early in the round?
Very interesting for sure, because Xayah, she's definitely not an S tier pick, but she's definitely a decent-ish pick, a good pick, not to mention there's always the threat of the Xayah Rakan lane, and that always puts a pinch on your opponent's drafting plans, because it's the age-old question of where they first rotation Xayah and something else, and then you're left on blue side with the decision of, do we deny the lovers to a bot lane and pick Rakan?
Yeah, it's something I'd consider. I kind of like it. They're hovering over, waiting for that support. Already picked up Misfortune, one of those higher contested AD carries in the bot lane. Paired very well with the Rakan. Actually, they have a lot of engage. Braum being hovered and locked in, which I also like. Braum being one of the main counters to Misfortune and then build it time over top. So kind of denying that counter pick. And as you said, there goes the Lovers bot lane being locked in for First Blood Marauders. So a lot of strength there on the bot side. A lot of probably priority, I should say. I imagine... It's weird because I really like the Xayah Rakan lane into most matchups very early on, but into Braum Misfortune, Braum kind of just negates that whole Rakan engage, can just get in the way, bring up his shield, and Xayah really can't do anything. She really can't get to that Misfortune even off the Rakan engage. So
one important thing to note, though, is that when Misfortune does channel that bullet time, you are, of course, standing still, and that leaves you to be a sitting duck for the Rakambo with the grand entrance and the quickness. So definitely something that they're going to have to look out for here on the spot lane for Michigan.
And seeing the Darius being taken away, it looks like they're trying to give more priority to that top lane. Darius, there are a lot of top laners really like to play into that, and their early jungler being taken away from MSU by the side of 2 early junglers, actually. Very strong early game junglers being taken away by First Blood Marauders. Maybe looking for some more priority early on in this game for the Olaf to get rolling.
Because, Olaf is one of the strongest early game duelist junglers. So taking off other early game junglers that might be able to put up a fight. Granted, Jarvan, not exactly the best at dueling. He's much more of a burst champion, and he cannot deal with Olaf and sustain trades and will usually lose to him. But still, just taking off those picks that might either out-tempo the Olaf early, or maybe even be able to contest him in his own jungle, that can be hugely problematic, and if Olaf that falls behind is usually not something you want on your team, because he just kind of becomes a sack of meat that runs in and dies.
And that last ban that is not quite showing was supposed to be LeBlanc. Pretty safe blind mid lane pick, so, you're playing it safe. You don't really know what else to ban. So that is what's that final ban is. And kind of what I expected to. Mordekaiser being locked in the top lane. I think traditionally, if you don't really have a winning matchup and you can play Mordekaiser, it's not the worst pick in the world just to lock into that set. I actually think it's probably better. Mordekaiser into set, for the most part, really is in favor of Mordekaiser, I'd say. Especially the later the game goes.
I'm not too familiar with the matchup myself. I do know that both of them do like to get down and dirty when it comes to fighting, though, since neither of them are exactly like poke or peel champions, so we'll have to see.
Yeah, the fights really do just kind of turn to some sustain fest where they're really balancing around their shields, around the haymaker damage. So final pick being locked in for MSU is the Echo and Lee Sin. Very strong. Again, a lot of engage. I really actually like this comp for MSU. Very well-rounded. A lot of damage in the early and the late game. And on the side of...
see a Kennen.
Is it going to be Kennen or Mordekaiser?
We are. So
Mordekaiser mid then? Or Kennen mid? Some flexibility.
I think it's Mordekaiser top with Kennen mid. I think it might be a matchup-related thing in the mid lane.
That's it's hard to say. I like the way it's hard. You gotta guess though. You gotta go back and forth, and I think for both teams as they're jumping into the draft here, you gotta start thinking here. Are you gonna do your matchups? But I love it though. I think we talked a little bit about the Leon and the Zac being taken away, denying a lot of that team fighting. I don't think that's gonna be the case at all. As we're seeing all of the right picks here to see a lot of action on the Rift going into this Week 7 matchup. I'm personally pretty excited. I actually. If we're looking at the standings, there's actually some pretty big implications looking at these two teams. I believe it's top 4 make it into playoffs. And I know there's one team that's kind of sitting at 2-3. I'm not sure what they're sitting at, but there could be a 4-way tie depending on who wins. I don't know actually who's playing against who, but this team right here for MSU, they are actually sitting right on the outside of 4th place. So this win means a lot and might push them over the top depending on how the other matches go, pushing them towards that playoff, those playoff teams. So we know that there's definitely some incentive for them, whereas First Blood Marauders, they're sitting at that 5-1 record, don't want to give up that first seed.
Because First Blood, they're basically guaranteed to get into playoffs with their current standing. So this game, it's only just really a matter of their placements. Do they want that first seed or not?
Yeah, and then a lot of times too, it's kind of that mental state that you going into playoffs. You see a lot of teams, even the professional scene, maybe you get fatigued, but really coming off of a win, going into that first round is so very important for your mental game. And it's not going to feel very good losing to a 2-4 team heading into playoffs if you're coming in as the potential first seed. So, but team comps overall, go for how do you feel about both sides? Because I don't see really any too profound weaknesses on either end.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to say, but the biggest weaknesses for both teams here is that they cannot deal with Baron pushes because they don't really have the best wave clear on either side or the best counter siege. So I feel like one of the biggest deciding factors of this game is who's going to get that first Baron, and well, the first clean Baron, I should say, because if you get the Baron and you only have it on 2 members, maybe even 3, it's probably not going to work out for you to push that. But if you get it on 4 or 5 members, then that's probably going to really turn the tides of the game. So it might just be a matter of that. But also, of course, there is a lot of potential for kills in all of these lanes. Because, I mean, we already mentioned Set Mordekaiser. That's probably going to be somewhat bloody in the top lane. Echo Kennen, probably going to see some fights there in the mid lane. Not to mention the bot lane, the Xayah Rakan. They have that level 1 cheese. But also, there is, of course, the potential for that huge bullet time coming out from Omelette.
Yeah, I think lane-wise, I don't necessarily give anyone too much of an edge. Olaf, Lee Sin, it really depends how often they're going to run into each other. The mid lane matchup's a little bit difficult for Echo early on, just being outranged by Kennen. But I think wherever these junglers go, hopefully they have early pressure, really allow any of these lanes to snowball, because I think that'll give them a huge advantage. But as you said, I think we can really guess and estimate where a lot of these fights are going to take place around those big neutral objective timers. These junglers have great clear, they're great early game, so I imagine we're going to see some sneaks, maybe some sneaky Rift Heralds, some sneaky dragons. And when we get to the later points of the game, I'm looking for the team not necessarily that gets to the objective first, but the team that gets there second, because both of these teams have so many tools to jump onto the backline to force these engages. And you're looking at the Kennen, you're looking at the Rakan Ultimates, able to jump right onto the backline, looking for those CC flanks to take out that Misfortune. And the other side, Echo, Lee Sin, and Set are both very, very good at separating, looking for great flanks, and also trying to get onto that backline. So I think we're going to have to see a little bit more of that on the side of MSU, a little bit more positioning on the side of their mid laner and their jungler and their top laner to protect that Misfortune, because she is not as mobile. Messiah's not really mobile either, but she at least has her own ultimate to escape some of that pressure. But yeah, I think this team fight is going to be pretty exciting.
Yeah, because especially in the Baron Pit, a well-timed Misfortune ultimate or a huge Cannon Vengeful Maelstrom, that could very well turn the tide of the entire game.
That's probably the most exciting part about any of these games, are things that can just get decided on a coin flip, decided just off one great play. But I think before we see any of that or jump into any of this excitement, we got to thank one of our wonderful sponsors. We're going to send it over real quick to your wonderful apparel sponsors. If you guys don't have jerseys yet, check out this Sector 6 ad, because they're going to get you hooked up. So thank you guys for tuning in. This is week 7 of the UCL. Take a look at that sponsor.
Started with a vision of quality, a vision of uniformity. We took the time to create something familiar yet refreshing, something with a bit of change.
Designed to fit any brand's unique vision.
right, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Rift again. This is the UCL week number 7. We got your MSU B team, Michigan State, up against the First Blood Marauders on your red side. Going down the roster, so actually just looking at a little bit of the action here.
30 seconds until
Okay,
Yeah.
wasn't really sure.
Nothing too much coming out of that, just a quick little pop on the ward. I do believe if Really Big Meme wanted to, he could have cleared that ward if he had used an ability and used his passive for that quick auto attack speed. But
Yeah, that's what I was looking for. I was kind of interested if they're going to go for that, and the Olaf could really probably run him down, actually, using that undertow, just slowing him if you try to contest that ward. But yeah, anyway, going back to the game, breaking down the sides. On the side of Michigan State B in the top lane, we do have OG We Was Kangs playing the sets. Really Big Meme on Lee Sin. Oh my. Okay, L's and I's are some of the worst things in the world. That's an L, right? That's lands. Lands! I'm not messing this up. Lands in the mid lane for Michigan State, and Omelet 216 and Baffro rounding out the bot lane for Michigan State as we're jumping into action here.
Yep. And there we go. Standard old leash. Interesting to note, though, is that FB Mike, he's going leashless this time around, starting off with those Raptors. And Omelet and Baffro are cautiously taking the safe way, just worried of that potential level 1 cheese in that bush.
Yeah, they shouldn't have any idea since they didn't. Yeah, they're going to look for the level 1 cheese that's coming up from the bot lane. Not going to look for the knockup. And they're actually taking a little bit of damage in that trade.
Yeah.
PGER not quite in range for that grand entrance. Yeah, this definitely causes some fun though, right? I mean, they don't know that the Olaf started on the top side. Or they do now, but they don't necessarily know where and what route he's taking.
Oh, there's it.
There we go. Grand entrance on the bot side, hitting level 2. Not going to quite find a hard commit there. No roots coming off of the Blade Collar.
Yeah. Although I don't think Caspian has taken the Blade Collar quite yet, since we did see him use the double feather there.
Oh yeah, you're right, actually. That's actually even more surprising when you're looking for the level 2 off the... Oh, actually in the top lane. Looking at some action. Really Big Meme forced to disengage, running into each other. And a little bit of a disadvantage though. FB Mike not quite picking up his second buff yet.
Oh, the Haymaker!
Goes the Haymaker to follow up on the damage there in the top lane. No jungle assistance needed.
Top lane stud just not respecting the set damage coming out from Kangs there, and pays dearly with it because he also used his flash there, and he's gonna have to do the teleport of shame back to lane. He's gonna eat another Sidewinder.
And on the side of the jungles, they're actually just looping around each other, gonna run into each other right here. Really Big Meme does find him, contesting that top Scuttle Crab. Lands a Sonic Wave.
Boom,
He's just gonna try to commit to the Scuttle Crab. Tales of Omero does find his way up, and here comes the Facebreaker onto FB Mike, forcing the flash. He's burning, and he goes down. That's second blood in favor of Missouri State. Or yeah, Michigan State, I should say. Sorry, I'm from Missouri. It's popped into my head. Michigan State.
No worries, no worries. But that was pretty damn huge, and you'd figure FB Mike would have noticed, hey, we're gonna be a little outnumbered here. Maybe I should just back off and take the L here. But instead, greeds for that scuttle to try and get it, and thinks he can get out the flash, but clearly not enough with all the damage he had taken. And that's just a death traded for a Scuttle Crab there, which favors MSU pretty heavily there.
Not too big of an issue for FB Mike. I would say First Blood. I'll start saying First Blood. That's a little bit easier. He does have his entire bot lane to clear. He did get one camp stolen on the top side from the Lee Sin, taking away that first wolf. So, you know, giving away some kills, has some time to farm up, not going to fall too far behind. And it does kind of mix up those jungle paths too. On the top side, seeing more action. There goes the Haymaker, is blocked by the Mordekaiser Indestructible.
And keep in mind, Kangs hasn't backed yet on this set. And he is sitting on 1,400 gold when he backs right now. So that could easily be a Phage or a Sheen or even more if he wants to. Although probably going to be one of those two items, I would assume.
Yeah, you have to imagine that he's going to want to look for it soon, or maybe he's calling for a gank first. Looks like Really Big Meme, though, will get sighted on a ward. Are they going to try to go for this dive? Potentially. Again, no flash up actually on We Was Kang, so a little bit dangerous here. Does take a fair bit of damage there. Uses the Haymaker, does get pulled in, though, so he will trade 1 for 1. But top laner does go down once more. Top lane stud does drop. Goes over to Really Big Meme and doesn't have teleport, where First Blood Mike wastes a fair bit of time not able to find that engage through the lane gank on the bot side.
Yeah, because he got there way before Really Big Meme had reached that top side, but he'd stayed in that bush the entire time, so a lot of wasted time there compared to what his counterpart did at the top of the map there. And that's now a 2-0 Lee Sin in a 1-1-2 set. And things are only going to get a bit worse in this top lane, what with the item differential and the fact that top lane Stead is having to itemize the either Tabais or the Zhonya's first, which does tend to hurt Mordekaiser since you do like rushing that Rylai's for that really strong slow.
And I imagine with that teleport advantage, maybe we can look for a play on the bot side. Actually, we're lucky though. While First Blood Mike was sitting in the bot wave, he did soak up a little bit of XP there, so he's not that far behind Really Big Meme, at least in experience. But that priority on the bot side, looks like we're going to actually see a lot of action. Mid laners are level 6. There goes the flash on coming out of the Kennen. Look at the back line, the teleport coming in from OG Liwa's King. It's going to pay off. Sonic Wave does land on the tails of Omero, flashing away, trying to escape. There goes the flash on to Kennen, not able to find enough damage in that engage. The bot laners just don't quite have it in them yet. And they're maybe going for a dive here. So they have 3 marks, 4 marks onto the Rakan. Sonic Wave lands, and it's a third one, but Really Big Meme. Look at that haymaker, not quite enough damage, barely surviving. I'm not sure if they're going to go for this dive here.
Should have taken it Really Big Meme. Either way, though, that is a 1-4-0 in the favor of MSU there, and they're now 4-1 in this game. They clearly want to try and fight for that chance to get that tie and potentially make playoffs here.
Yeah, they're looking very, very strong in those last couple of fights there. And unfortunate, though, the Slicing Maelstrom flashing onto the backline. Just not enough damage to follow up. The Xayah was not close enough. Yep, here comes the teleport actually from the mid laner. Kennen does come in, doesn't have ultimate. Oh, if Braum were to land that skill shot, that might have been the end there. You really can take advantage of that CC, especially without that Kennen ultimate, but they will just back off.
Oof, but yeah, like you said, the Flash Vengeful Maelstrom to start off the fight looks so big and so clean, but it kind of didn't really amount to much. Not really doing all that much damage in total, which is kind of odd. Although you could have made the argument that Tales of Omero didn't really have too much itemization completed then, but still.
Yeah, it was great positioning. He had the great flank. He was able to lock down 3. I think the most unfortunate part there is he just didn't have the damage follow-up from the rest of his team. Doesn't have the burst yet, doesn't have the proto belt completed. So he's really kind of counting on really Caspian getting in range to at least get some auto attacks in, but just kind of zoned out from the outside. So the ultimate from Liwa's King also kind of threw a wrench into that whole deal.
And PJ are hanging around this mid lane. Don't think anything will come out of it, though. Just a little howdy-ho.
Little howdy-ho.
Interesting thing to note, though, is that despite the 4-1 kill lead, it's only a 700 gold lead here for the side of MSU right now. So the CS lead, especially in that mid lane, and the bot lane too, to a decent extent, really coming in clutch here for the side of First Blood.
So what I think we're going to have to see here, especially the Echo, is maybe not having the best of time in lane. Maybe some Realms, a little bit more aggression here to try to get some of these players back on the board. Because when it comes to these team fights, with a little bit of a lead, the CC chain that we're going to see out of the Kennen, outside of the Rakan, it's going to be really difficult to deal with as we see the bot lane for First Blood Marauders making the proactive move to take this dragon.
That is a very fast dragon take, actually, and great heads-up play there by the side of First Blood.
You can expect that's like the there goes Sonic Wave does land on to Caspian, forced to back up right into the bronze shield. Ragnarok is popped. Oh, bullet time is interrupted. Great grand entrance, and here comes the Olaf with the double kill. Coming down, Rakan ultimate does get dragon kicked away. Really Big Meme likely will escape. No man on First Blood might. But there you go. As you said, when you're channeling that bullet time, you are stationary. And there's a lot of tools there that get interrupted. So great job not allowing too much damage to fall on the side of First Blood Marauders.
Here comes Lance. Nothing too much coming out of it though, but yeah, like you said, very huge sitting duck, and that bullet time honestly didn't even last a full second there before Omelet was knocked up. And keep in mind that we have more action.
Really Big Meme is sticking it too. The bot lane does have that red buff gonna burn. PGER is going to survive. Oh, but the Sonic Wave does land on the back line. Really Big Meme picks up his 4th kill of the game. They're trying to contest using that red buff burn. Going for the dive. Lance does still have his ultimate. Will not recall in time as Undertow lands. And with that, the dunk. Big shutdown onto the jungler. And the top lane, We Was Kings also drops. And just like that, we're seeing a turnaround in the scoreboard on the kill side as First Blood Marauders takes the lead. And retakes the gold lead as well.
And what was 4-1 in kills just a minute or two ago is now 5-6. That kill lead slipping away here for the side of MSU. Not to mention the gold lead as well. And you have to feel like there was just a little bit of too much aggression there. Just trying to engage that fight right after the dragon. And then just trying to engage that all-in bot lane fight there. Where he picked up PJ, sure, but he kind of lost really big Meme and Lance there.
Yeah, I like the Sonic Wave. He landed, you kind of got to take that situation. I 100% respect him taking it. But on that dive, it looked like there had to be some sort of miscommunication there. Lance still had his ultimate. He still had his chrono break. So he honestly should have just stuck onto the Xayah. Tried to take some more of that damage, committed to the kill. But they ended up just going outside, stuck between those towers, and both were eliminated. He didn't get a pop chrono break before First Blood Mike was able to dunk him out. So junglers now both tied at 4-1, but the Olaf does have a little bit of a farm lead. But this objective control seems to be pretty even here, as the Lee Sin will sneak away the Rift Herald right underneath First Blood Mike's nose.
FB Mike, he's going top.
And this is a weird situation. Yeah, this is like that meme that's like, I got you, and then the other person's behind him with the other gun, like, I got you instead. We're seeing the showstopper actually onto the backside. Facebreaker doesn't land as Ragnarok is popped, but the Haymaker damage just annihilates him, and that's a shutdown.
Haymaker does so much damage, and that's going to be instant Herald pop in the top lane. That's going to easily be 2 or 3 tower plates picked up for this set.
Yeah, first tower as well, and gee, it's little tiny mistakes positioning. Not quite sure where the Lee Sin is. Going for the gank was real dangerous with top lane stud not even close providing that backup. Rift Herald will get a second push. And so much action on the board without full-on team fights. Haymaker over top does burn away through that shield, 2v1. Mordekaiser, though, does excel in those kind of matchups. Looks like it's going to back up.
Keep in mind the Death Realm is still available as well for top lane stud. If they do decide to dive him, it would become a 1 versus 1.
Yeah, and don't people forget that. You're going for the turret dive on a Mordekaiser, and you don't realize that, you just forget. You know, it happens. Heat of the moment.
Yeah. Heat of the moment, like you said.
But all tied up, though. 6-6, 21. Actually, really only 100 goal difference between these two teams. You honestly, you really couldn't tell. If you had to guess which team was sitting at 5-1 as their record and 2-4 as the opposing record, it'd kind of be hard pressed to tell which team was which.
Although interesting to note is every kill in this game has been allocated to either the top lane or jungler on each team. So, all in the bot lane.
The grand entrance. The shield will block a lot of the damage coming out from the Xayah. Bullet time does go out, but no lockdown as the Xayah is trying to retreat, forcing the ultimate. Dragon kick does not land. That would be pretty sick, actually, if the Lee Sin was able to find that execute, but that will close that one out. And that's kind of what I expect from both these engages on the bot side. Really not a whole lot of lockdown on either side. Rakan does, but you can't really get through the shield, so not enough lockdown to wait it all out.
Not to mention Rakan is very slippery, so... Big Meme, is he in trouble? Alright, got a little too excited there. But there is the Cloud Dragon spawning here in just a few seconds, and that will be the second of the game. Looks like we already have First Blood on it.
4 members making it down to the Cloud Drake, and they will just burn this Drake. See that Dragon Slayer skin coming up from Olaf, secured by Rakan, but now they're getting pinched from both sides. So we're coming in for top lane stud. There goes the slicing Maelstrom onto the back line. Here comes the damage. They have it this time as Olaf is running them down. Showstopper right on to the Misfortune. No mana, no health. She goes down, but First Blood Life now in a sticky situation here in a 2v1. Flash coming out from top lane stud will provide that backup. There goes to the Death Realm. Mordekaiser versus Set. The 1v1 that we talked about all game. The guy just has to sit there and take it as he doesn't have Haymaker up. And that's a triple kill for the Mordekaiser. Securing both the dragon.
Yeah, that was a 5-for-2 as well in the favor of First Blood there. So huge team fight win for them. And that's going to bump up their lead a decent bit to roughly 2,000 gold. Going to extend a little further if top lane is able to get this tower, but... rough fight all around for MSU.
And you gotta say, Mr. Omelet there is really not gonna have a tough or a fun game. If we look at if we could take any indication that fights like that are going to happen for the rest of this game, sitting, in a relatively safe position, but you got to deal with Flash Ultimate, the Maelstrom coming out from Kennen, Olaf running it down with Ragnarok, and really, like, what peel do you have? Braum really can't do anything about a Ragnarok Olaf, Flash ulting Kennen, and so if you don't have the damage just to burn through them immediately, you're just stuck running for your life.
Yeah.
Which is pretty unfortunate.
It is very unfortunate, but we're going to see that pretty often.
Just like this. There you go. Undertow. Ragnarok popped. Omelet just trying to save her support. Taking one for the team. One more goes over to the hands of the Olaf.
That's why I love facing Olaf as an AD carry, because it's a very interactive experience as the AD carry, since you can do literally nothing and he just runs you down, takes no damage, and then just red smites to kill you.
Exactly. And that's why the positioning is going to be pivotal for Omelet here. If he's able to just stand around these fights, force a Ragnar to be popped before Olaf can get onto you, really wait it out, and then find the right flank. You almost got to play like an assassin, where you're playing around the outside of these fights, waiting for the perfect time to pop that R. But
PJ, he should be fine here. But interesting note, Mike on this Olaf, he's going Death Stand second, it looks like.
Oh, Sonic Wave does land. Grand Entrance pops him up. Looking at the 2v2 support versus jungler battle. Oh, there goes the flash. There's not quite enough damage. Really Big Beam barely survives, and the shutdown goes over to the hands of Lance. Picks up his first kill. Olaf getting a little overzealous there.
Very overzealous. Didn't have the Ragnarok for a few more seconds there, which is pretty huge. Oh.
Yikes.
This is going to be a twofer.
And Omelet's just, you really don't have any choice. Right outside the turret, popping the bullet time, and he just takes it in the face. Here comes the teleport. Top lane stud will go down, shut down by his lane opponent, now 5-3. But picked up 7 kills of his own. That Mordekaiser is going to be another big hassle to deal with. First Blood, Marauders in a great position here. Except for Caspian, who maybe gets saved, barely. There we go. By the Rakan, coming in real quick with the shield. Lance not able to find that execute.
Oh, the...
Ooh.
So
I think
close.
you're about to say it. Yeah, you're about to say it. Great Feather Storm there by Caspian, narrowly avoiding that face breaker. And that's really Caspian's job. He just has to survive and really waste all this time and all the energy in these team fights from the Echo, from that set. He just has to survive longer than Misfortune, really. And you're doing your job.
Yep. Because, I mean, we've said it so many times this game as the Misfortune here, Omelet, he can't really do squat. But Caspian, he does at least have that one get out shield card. And sometimes that's all you really need as an AD carry, because if they jump into a fight and try and blow everything immediately on you, but you're able to dodge it with that Feather Storm, that is pretty damn huge.
Yeah, that's your job, right? You're looking at these matchups here. There's not really anyone that Michigan State can take care of super quickly in a pick state. Caspian is going to be the squishiest target. First Blood Mike, like he's just the Chad here, running you down. He's just running you down with these axes. So you really got to try to focus him down, but at the same time, you can't lock him down. So there's not many options here for Michigan State and how they got to play these fights, short of maybe getting a crazy dragon kick, picking off the Caspian before they start. A lot of the issue is going to come from their damage share. So much of it is single target, and Echo isn't fed enough to really blow up all of these carries all at once. The bullet time's not going to last very long, so these fights are going to be really difficult for Michigan State to come out on top if they're playing in a full-on 5v5.
Yeah, but they don't exactly have to force the 5 versus 5, since we do have a double TP on each side here, so it may be a matter of 5 versus 4 or 4 versus 4 even. Kangs, he's gonna find a cannon.
Oh, yep, there goes the face breaker. And on the bot side, here goes the trades. I wasn't really sure Lance still takes that isolated damage from the Mordekaiser that the Dragon has spawned. This priority of these objectives has been so superb on the side of First Blood Marauders, dropping only 1 Herald. Dragon maybe will get stolen. Oh, get sent to the Death Realm as he lands the Sonic Wave onto the Dragon. Very safe play there by top lane stud. Bullet time over top. Looks like First Blood Marauders will just walk out.
Really clutch Death Realm there coming out from top lane stud to 100% that bear. Sure, that's going to be a decent cooldown, and he wasn't able to get anything off of it, but his team's going to appreciate the 3rd dragon there.
Mm-hmm. And I think the 3rd dragon is one of the most important to contest, because Well, I mean, okay, they're all pretty. But for the most part, third dragon, next one, Soul. You know, there's so many objectives that are going to come up here in the next couple of minutes. As Dragon or Baron timer will be up. Like Baron is up now. Soul Drake will be up, and it's really going to force Michigan State to make very difficult decisions here, as they might have to choose which one they're going to give over.
Yeah, because it's kind of one of League's classic catch-22s. Because sure, you can get the Baron, but then you give up the Elder, and that's pretty bad. Or you can get the Elder and you give up the Baron, and that's also pretty bad.
Yeah, and in a perfect world, I'm trying to think here. Yeah, if you had to make a decision here, give up one or the other, I'd probably prioritize giving up Soul. I think you said it early on in the draft. Giving up that Baron gives one of the teams so much more push potential, so much more of that priority. Again, both teams don't have a lot of wave clear, so that Baron might be that key into really knocking down some more of these towers. Because on both sides, we're only seeing 2 towers down on each team. And only 1,000 gold lead in the favor of First Blood Marauders.
Granted, one important thing is that it will be a mountain soul this game, and with how much burst there is on both sides, the shield you do get from the soul, not to mention just all the bonus armor and MR, it could make a pretty big difference in team fights here for whichever team manages to get the soul. So that's also going to be a huge contention point.
Yeah, we can see the reverse sweep. Michigan State takes all of the souls. They get all 4 mountain souls. That is a possibility.
Yeah, because it's like, what, 5% per... 6% bonus armor and MR per one of those. So you get 4 of those. Oh, fight.
Oh, really big beat with the Flash Dragon kick on to Cassie. Just like we started, that's the play maybe that they need. There goes the shutdown. Huge jungle pressure there, bullet time over top, no shield to lock it down this time. Showstopper will knock them out of the ultimate, maybe buying some time. But here comes the flank though, as top lane stud comes around the back line. Really big meme, had the play, does avoid it. Flash does not follow up, but we will see the Zonias being caught by top lane stud.
But the death realm.
Disengage. Here comes the 1v1, top lane stud versus the Echo. Echo does still have Chrono Break. They're gonna try to even it out. Sonic Wave doesn't land. Looks like both teams are trying to just back it up.
Still a 2 for 2 there in the end, but a very crucial 2 for 2 for the side of MSU, because that was kind of the play they wanted there. Granted, they definitely wanted more, but still, knocking out those 2 members and then keeping it even, that benefits them since they're behind.
Yeah, it does. And I think what's so sad about this, though, is that really big meme. You get to see how hard he has to try to make this happen, to make this work. Looking for the ward hop flash kick onto Caspian, who again, not the easiest target to get in the back line to isolate, to really take that fight off. Finding the first blood there, or her first death.
Yeah.
I mean, he has 11 of their 12 kills as far as kill participation goes. Like, he is really, really trying to make everything happen there for his team. But even then, it wasn't quite enough. Well, not enough to break it open, as we're seeing all that damage, all that gold on the side of the Mordekaiser and the Olaf.
Yeah, although maybe you can make the argument of maybe you aren't trying to get Caspian with the Dragon's Kick in these team fights. Maybe you're just trying to kick away Tales of Omero on this cannon, because we saw how much damage he's starting to do with that Vengeful Maelstrom in that past team fight. So maybe if you're able to kick him out of the team fight before he can even press that ultimate button, that could also be a very huge potential game-winning thing.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. That could be huge. That's one of the main targets that's going to try to get onto your back line. Omelet is going to be one of your largest damage shares, especially when she finishes this Infinity Edge with that bullet time over top. Hopefully, you can keep her alive. I will say that CC does land pretty quickly if she's able to get that Maelstrom on the back line, so you're going to have to get that kickoff pretty fast. But yeah, there's a lot of tools here. Really big meme. Maybe he can pull them out of victory here. They're now down by 4 kills, down by 2,000 gold. And
But
here comes... Yep.
This is going to be Soul here if the side of First Blood is able to pick this up. So MSU, they do have first dibs in the pit, it looks like, but everybody's ultimate is up right now, and we've seen how explosive team fights can get.
Oh, but look here on the backside. Look at the flank here. Top lane stud. Not sighted in a ward. Going for the flank. Decided by Lance. Takes a fair bit of damage. He actually might get locked down. Forcing the death realm just to make it a 1v1. Did he grab the right person? No. Omelet is the right person. He goes down, and look at the kick of the slicing maelstrom. All that damage. Lance tries to recover. Chrono breaking back because of the big meme. Doesn't land a Sonic Wave onto Tails of Amaro. And just like that, Bull's 80 carries drop. Top lane stud, maybe with the sacrifice there. As he comes into the backline with the flank, buys enough time. Tails of Amaro does kill the Lee Sin, and that's going to be Soul that will go over First Blood Marauders.
Yeah, and it looks so good at the start for MSU because they did get a pretty good initial pick onto top lane stud and took him down to 40% health, but the immediate Death Realm onto Omelet, and it's pretty easy for an 8-4 Mordekaiser to kill a 1-5 Misfortune usually. And
it's so unfortunate there. She's standing around all of her teammates, and they're doing their best to peel to survive, keep her away from the Kennen, and there comes Mordekaiser, just, sauntering onto the backline, presses R, doink.
yeah, and Omelet's gonna need a QSS at some point here to get out of that Death Realm instantly in these fights, because
yeah,
you are not going to be winning that. But if you at least QSS it immediately and have your your teammates also there to help you, maybe then you have a chance to survive. But even then, that's just kind of in the realm of maybe.
Yeah, that might have turned it. Top lane stud was getting bursted so quickly in that last fight too, turning into a 1v1. Bought him a little bit more time. 80 carry difference here. There's not even too much gold. There's not too much of gold difference, I should say, between these two either. A little bit of 1.5k in favor of Caspian.
Yeah, granted, that is the difference between components and a full-on Infinity Edge. So
yeah,
that is a very huge differential for at least the time being.
But not if you're dealing 0 damage in a fight anyway, since Omelet did get dropped before she was able to press any buttons. Maybe got a couple auto attacks in on that Mordekaiser. I don't know how effective it was in the Death Realm.
Yeah, because that Mordekaiser did... Oh, we have a little bit of a fight breaking out. Really big meme. Yep. Can he get away?
Undertow, Grand Entrance, Lee Sin. No matter how good of a jungler you are, you're not going to escape from all of that CC. And with that, I think that opened up the doors for the first Baron of the game. They don't need to pick between Soul and Baron. Looks like First Blood Marauders is just going to take both of them.
Mm-hmm. And they can't really lose the smite fight either. Their only real worry is somehow standing in pit for an entire bullet time. But even then, they should be fine with how fast they're shredding it. Lance, he's coming around the side.
Yeah, all this flank might have been more effective. Chrono Break is pop. Grand Entrance doesn't quite land. Baron still being bursted down, sitting at 1800 bullet time. Makes it a little bit easier, it's just sustained DPS. Now Steel down, or up there, I should say. Slicing Maelstrom on the top side, gonna lock down that Braum, will go down. Omelet once more running for her life. And everything is going... Maybe, she's trying. She got that strut. Oh, dodges the Shuriken. Well, I think she actually outran it. I think
it's kind of surrounded here, though.
Oh, actually, no, wait, no, I forgot. I thought they were red side. No, she's blue side. She's got nowhere to run. She's kind of just gonna stagger the recall time. There you go. Gives it over to the support. Yeah.
And that is 6 kills for nothing and a Baron picked up.
And a surrender vote, which I think is, in the interest of time, not the worst case, actually, as it looks like a little bit of a missed opportunity there for Michigan State. Very close, neck and neck all the way through, just not able to find the picks in the fights they wanted. And the gold went over to the right people for the side of First Blood. That's a very, very tanky Olaf, even though he's not really building tank. The really, really tanky Mordekaiser, even though he's not building tank. You just can't burst them down quick enough while they're dishing out all that damage.
Yeah, and they had the initial lead too for the side of MSU, but just weren't able to really keep up. And they, we saw around the mid game, those team fights, and especially the ones around Dragon, they just kind of let it slip despite the very strong early start. And come late game, there wasn't really too much they could do in team fights, except for that one time really big meme got that beautiful dragon kick right onto Caspian. But even then, that was just a 2 for 2.
Mm-hmm. And again, you're looking at the jungle matchups here. Really big meme had a heck of a game. First Blood Mike, he's just doing his thing. He's just running people down, axing them to death. And I just feel kind of bad. The Lee Sin was trying so hard to make these plays happen. He was sitting at 11 out of 12. Actually, still ended with what? He had 12 out of 14 kills as far as that kill rotation goes. Just no follow-up. No damage coming out from Lance, no damage coming out from Omelet. Nothing there to follow up on any of those engages. And it just really showed in those team fights. So In the end, I like the early aggression, though. I like the early priority. I like the plays that came out. They were neck and neck. Maybe they just need a draft that's able to play a little bit easier into these matchups so that they can come out a little bit stronger out of the individual laning phases. Because as a whole, I don't think it went too poorly on the side of Michigan State in the early game. It was not the end of the world. They weren't completely outclassed, at least from what we could see, right? It didn't look as bad as it ended up at the end of that game there.
Yeah, but with that being said, though, we are going to have to cut to a short break here on the desk while we prepare for game number 2. But don't go anywhere because we will be right back.
And welcome back after that very, very short break with game 1 in the UCL, week 7 between Michigan State and the First Blood Marauders. taken there by the surrender vote at the end. It's kind of a formality. It looks like they were pretty much outscaled. They got the Baron buff. They got the Soul. Going into the pick and ban. So for game number 2, have swapped sides. Pretty much the same bands, save for the Olaf coming out from Michigan State. Pretty big issue. Mike kind of had a heyday on that Olaf pick when she said go for,
Yeah, definitely. Really huge scoreline in every team fight. We just kind of saw him pop the Ragnarok, go in and kind of kill everything and not die whatsoever.
Mm-hmm. And that's what you want, right? That's what you want from your Olaf. That's what you want from your Mordekaisers. So going into game number 2, we're going to have to see something different on the side of First Blood Marauders. Same Banzo coming out for Michigan State. Not wanting to deal with those issues. And the Tahm Kench being locked in. Which is interesting, as usually we're seeing it paired with the Senna funnel strat, potentially. But we're seeing the Kog'Maw being locked in. Looks like, Caspian doesn't want to take a backseat role going in game number 2. Really wants to be the highlight. And I don't know if I really like this first pick early on. I don't know if you want to show your hand and give away what your comp is going to look like so early on, I should say, in the draft. It just kind of lets the entire team know what you're doing. So, I don't know. That's...
Yeah, because Kog'Maw, he hasn't really been meta since, oh lord, what, season 6?
Yep. Yeah. Oh, I was wrong as well. That's for Omelet as well. That's not for Caspian. That's for Omelet. The bot lane for Michigan State. They're the one that's going to be running that Kog'Maw. And yeah. That's why I don't know. Again, not the strongest AD carry. There's a reason for it. When Kog'Maw's actually meta and strong, is pretty unbearable to deal with. And and there's also a lot of different tools you can pick to protect that Kog'Maw. It just seems interesting. It's definitely not a pick that I'd be worried about getting banned away. So getting picked early on. Hopefully we're going to see some big counter picks coming out on the side of Michigan.
Yeah. I mean, granted, it looks like First Blood have locked in the Ashe Zyra bot lane, which is a pretty classic bot lane with a lot of utility, but also that poke might be really detrimental for the Tahm Kench Kog'Maw lane, because Tahm Kench, especially after he got his gray health regen nerfed a while back, I want to say last season, he's had such a hard time dealing with poke compared to previously, and also the Devourer has a super long cooldown and costs a lot of mana if you use it on an ally. So
and you don't get the movement speed anymore, so you're pretty much just isolated.
Yeah, just kind of a huge deal. Granted, I mean, still Devourer is one of the best peel tools in League of Legends because it's basically a free cleanse for your teammate, but it's also a free invulnerability for a few seconds.
And I think as far as the lane matchups go, if you're really trying to put them behind, I think Ashe Zyra is one of the best lanes that you could actually pick into that Kog'Maw Tahm Kench. Again, if he consumes him, if Kog'Maw's taking a bit of damage, sure, he gets away from the damage, but you don't get to escape either. I think you're pretty much going to have to sacrifice yourself as you get hit by the Ashe lows, you get hit by the Zyra roots. It's a lot of pains all around. But early jungle bans being targeted again in the second round on the side of First Blood Marauders. And on the side of Michigan, they just don't want to deal with that cannon again either. Yeah, I like it. If you had a tough time against it, you take away those elements so you don't have to play into it again. Those are 3 tools, actually, that would be very effective against a protect the AD carry kind of comp. So I'm very okay with all of those bans.
The Jax lock-in, so this might actually be a set jungle or a Jax jungle here for the side of First Blood, and this is shaping up to be a very interesting champion select, to say the least here, Venny, because there are a lot of unique picks here.
Yeah, this isn't your classic drafts that we're seeing, in specific pro scenes or metas. I don't know how often you see Zyra in a lot of these matchups, but we all know what Zyra's like to lane against. And so I like that. I like them trying to really put pressure onto the spot lane. If you're going to pick and protect the AD carry comp, we're going to pick a lot of things that's going to make it hard for you to make it all work. On the side of Michigan, though, they do get another early jungler, so they're still going to stick with it. No Lee Sin, going to go with the Braves instead. And yeah, Katarina. How do you feel about? I got my own opinion here, but I want to hear it from you as well. I don't sway your opinion at all. How do you feel about Katarina being locked in for the last pick? First matchup wise, first Katarina into LeBlanc.
So it's definitely catching me off guard, but they locked it in last and they locked it in instantly, which means they're probably kind of planning for this LeBlanc, because keep in mind that LeBlanc was banned last game in the second rotation. So I think they're kind of expecting it, and maybe the Katarina does have a bit of a counter matchup versus the LeBlanc. We'll have to see, because there's just like so little competitive data on Katarina, since she tends to be much more of a solo queue champion with how she tends to punish like people who aren't on comms, who can just say like, hey, Katarina's jumping in, can you CC her? Or like, hey, Katarina's missing from lane, watch out for the roam.
Hey, that's what yeah, exactly. In team play, that's why you don't see it as often.
Yeah, because the only time Katarina ever really saw competitive play post rework was when her numbers were kind of absurdly high.
Yeah, and what's even more odd to me is picking Katarina against a champion is going to demand some of those resources. It's also into a matchup that has a lot of CC. Every single one of those characters has some sort of CC, hard CC, that's able to lock her down, interrupt a lot of her abilities, really stop that Death Blossom as well, or Death Blossom, I should say, the Death Lotus. And I think it's going to be very difficult for Katarina to really get rolling into this matchup. But again, if there's a champion to get rolling and to really run away with it, even against all odds, it is a champion like Katarina.
Just the main problem that Katarina is going to be facing here is the problem she faces in every matchup, is that you kind of don't really get to lane pre-6, since her pre-6 wave control and just all-in tends to be kind of not so good. Okay-ish all-in, but you really need that Death Blossom or the Death Lotus.
Yeah, my bad, I messed you up.
Either way, though.
And I get LeBlanc, a very strong earlier game jungler as well, also will scale. I want to say the advantage will kind of go to the LeBlanc if she plays around her jumps really well. It's hard to say. The jungle pressure, though, I'm actually still kind of... Okay, no, it's Jax. It's going to be Jax jungle. Jax is going to be the jungle for Mike. Not quite... Well, actually, the clear for both sides is relatively equal between the Graves and the Jax. Graves should win those matchups earlier on. He's able to dodge that counter-strike.
Yeah.
But
Jax does, of course, always have that scaling potential to watch out for.
Yeah, it's just very interesting to me, seeing the Kog'Maw being locked in so early on. You see the Tahm Kench, but not an incredible amount of tools to play around the Kog'Maw. I mean, yeah, you got a lot of other characters that are going to deal damage, you're going to cause some havoc and cause a little bit of priority, but if you're going to pick a Kog'Maw, I just imagine that they try to pick some more parts to play around it rather than picking other pieces that kind of just demand their own attention, demand their own resources. You know, they can't just funnel resources just into Kog'Maw now into this game, and nor do they have the tools to really peel for Kog'Maw, except for the Devourer from Tahm Kench. So I just feel that they could have picked so many other AD carries that could have been just as effective and would have had more tools to be more mobile and survive a lot of the things that we're going to see on the side of First Blood Marauders. I mean, like, you could pick Jinx even, right? Is he still a hyper carry? At least you get excited, you can run around a little bit. Kog'Maw literally just has to stand there and just auto attacks, I guess.
I mean, granted, Jinx does, of course, have the problem of needing like 3-ish items to actually be a bit of a champion in team fights, but yeah.
Yeah, Kog'Maw will come online closer to that 2-item spike. You still kind of hope you're able to get 3. You get the Ruden's Hurricane, the Rage Blade, and the Bork, but I don't know, it's definitely more of an interesting draft for me going into the second game, whereas I was really liking both drafts in the first game. It was a lot more concise. Their win conditions were a lot more kind of defined. This one, to me, seems a little bit more awkward, but maybe in one hand it's more of a priority or more of a comfort pick, right? Maybe we're seeing characters more in their comfort roles. They're hoping to play the game the way they want to. We know Lance last game on Echo, he just really couldn't get the ball rolling on that Echo. Maybe he's hoping that Katarina will be something that can unlock his potential going into the second game.
Yeah, we will have to see.
Yeah, but this is going to be the second game. Again, First Blood Marauders did take game number 1. We're going to have to find out in a bit if they're going to take game number 2 in the series, or if we're going to get tied up at 1-1. But in the meantime, I believe that it is time to thank one of our wonderful sponsors for the day. We're going to take a look actually at Kono Keyboard. If you are looking to take your game to the next level, it all starts with your peripherals. If you didn't know, you really can't play any games without those. From keyboards to keycaps, mice, and more, our friends at Kono have you covered. Kono works with the world's best designers, inventors, makers to bring you some of the best gaming peripherals around. Kono have been huge supporters of us here at Upsurge and have made generous contributions to our prize pools. If you need to find a new keyboard, make sure to check out the Hex Gears X1 RGB low profile Bluetooth mechanical keyboard. I can't make this stuff up, guys. You can use the discount code UpsurgeGG for 7% off of your first order. And for more information, head over to the Kono store, kono.store, to check out everything they have to offer. That is KONO.store. Kono, discover amazing products. We'll be back in just a little bit with game number 2 of the UCL week number 7. So thank you guys for tuning in. Don't click away from those browsers. And welcome back to the action on the Rift. We have swapped sides. First Blood Marauders has game number 1. And this time we're going to highlight those guys from top to bottom. Top lane, the top lane stud taking over the set. In the jungle, we have FB, First Blood Mike. And mid lane, Tales of Omero on LeBlanc. And the bot lane rounded out by Caspian9 and PJ'er. With me is Go for Eno as your color caster. We're having a wonderful night tonight. Predictions, as we saw a very interesting draft. Who do you got in game number 2?
Predictions are going to be kind of hard this game because a lot of non-traditional stuff is going on. Like, we're seeing a Katarina in a competitive game. Like, that's not to trash on Katarina as a champion. It's just
maybe it's just confidence, right? It's just pure, unhindered confidence coming out from Lance. He's like, you know what? I feel it. Release that inhibition. I'm here. I'm just gonna make it rain all over this LeBlanc. That's what I'm hoping for, at least.
Mid lane is going to be a snowball bloodbath, though, since both these mid laners are on those super volatile assassins. They both have the electrocute, they both have the ignite, and
oh, look for the invade. They did step on that plant. I don't know if Zyra is going to be notified, actually, since they kind of crushed that little guy. Caspian
was a passive plant.
No. Let's get slowed. Let's get hit by the big old tongue, forced to flash. And like you said, going full tilt, they're going for all of the memes here. Smite secured by really big meme. This invade will work out. Also, another being collapsed on Omelet, now forced to flash. Looking at the full-on action in the 1v1. Mike does get rooted, forced to heal. Here comes the Ignite as well. Counter-strike. Going to try to land onto really big meme, but he did it level 2 off the Smite. Flash, we'll get first blood. Really big meme coming out on top. Look at all that damage. Oh, tries to go back from the W on LeBlanc, just gets taken out. Really big meme picks up 2 kills, but in return, in all of that action, Caspian gets to have some fun, picks up one of his own. And the top lane, if you guys didn't realize, stuff happened up there too. Set died. So.
Oh, hey.
Yeah, there we go. 5 kills in the first 2 minutes of the game.
Okay. There's just so much happening at that red buff. It just didn't pass my mind to look at the kill feed and see top, because it's like, we went to the top and I was like, wait, why is Kang's dismounted on like 200 health?
Yep. We said it kind of at the beginning. We were waiting to load in here. Like, this draft itself looked a little memey, at least in our minds. You know, Michigan not going to let their memes be dreams here as they go for it all in their early invade, and they come out, you know, pretty effectively. They take the red buff. Actually, seen some more bullying here. Yeah, really big memes like, hey, Mike, hey, Big Mike, this is my jungle, this is my game. I'm going to come out here and I'm going to have some fun here. I'm going to take your red, I'm going to take your blue. And for Jax, it's actually a really big deal. Jax, not the worst jungler in the world, but really does need to get some of those items online to get some attack speed, to really get the ball rolling, because his abilities don't give him the best wave clear when trying to get through his jungle camps.
Yeah, but also keep in mind...
Oh, the face breaker and the haymaker up top. No, Scarl comes out. And, you know,
also had flash there too.
Yep.
So he could have got out there, but trying to commit to the fight and hope he gets remounted there.
Yeah, I didn't want to interrupt you there, but that's exactly what I was thinking. He's just committing to it. That's a full-on Kled player there. You're just sitting there, you know, just clenching, just holding on, trying to clench. Hopefully you get that Scarl. I swear, half the time when I'm watching Kled players play, I feel like they don't actually know what Scarl's going to come back. They're just kind of like just hoping, just like, hey, you know what?
He'll probably
I'm a hope it's going to come back, and if it does, I'll win.
At least FD Mike is going to get 1 buff, though. Going to take away the blue buff from really big meme. Still, though, he's down on CS and 2 kills on Graves. Like, I mean, really big meme. After that fight, he just went into the jungle with double longsword for his first clear, which is a pretty damn huge deal.
Well, it looks like they might actually swap. Hopefully, First Blood Mike realizes it. He does. Sees the wolves are up, so he's going to assume the jungler either recall or maybe he's invading my own top side. So it looks like they're going to split the map here. I'm not going to fall behind in XP.
But bot lane is going absolutely brutally here for MSU, just due to all the poke coming out from the Ash Siren.
Yeah,
Baffro and Omelet, they aren't able to do anything. They can't engage on bot lane with all the slows they have and the root. Oh, mid lane Lance.
And that's what it's all about. You land those chains, and it's no good for Lance. No matter where you Shenpo to, you're still going to get locked down. If you're in range, forced to flash. Oh, no, I mean Shenpo away. Yeah, those ethereal chains are really going to be what decides that 1v1 matchup.
Granted, once Lance does work towards and potentially get that gunplate, that is going to be pretty damn huge, because he is going to have a huge sustained advantage over Omero. But really big meme. He is actually going to be spotted out that hawk shot. Do they commit to this? He does have the red buff, gets rooted up.
He's probably not going to be able to find anything else. Going to get slowed down, take some damage for his trouble. And actually, that's a big question, going back to the mid lane here. I'm actually not sure which champion outbursts the other, depending on how they build. I'm assuming we're going to see Luden's Echo first item for Tales of Omero.
Probably. Really big meme is actually spending a lot of time in this bot side.
And then again, it's not actually the worst thing in the world as a jungler here, as you're trying to pick up more gold, but more XP, I should say, does have to take the consume, as he eats an ignite to the face. You know, if you're going to waste time, make sure you pick up that lane XP. That's the worst thing in the world now as a jungler, to not be farming and not be ganking, because you just fall so far behind in levels.
Yep. Granted, does mean his bot lane is technically an EXP disadvantage since he was absorbing a bunch of that. Top lane, though, even more brawling.
Oh, there goes the face breaker and the giant haymaker. Kled now dismounted.
Gonna have to slowly stab things back up to full.
Yeah, that's it. For me. I know how quickly he gets back onto his mount if he has his W up, but I'm not actually sure when he doesn't have those quick stabby stabs out of those violent.
Ooh, Mike and me.
Oh, Mike, maybe caught in a bad situation here. Counter strike does proc, and he just 4 jumps away. He did still eat that end of the line to the face, and ooh, there goes more top lane damage. Top lane stud puts one down. We're seeing a hot disconnect there in the mid lane.
Oh, DC. Yep.
Mid lag and DC. So it looks like we're going to be paused for a couple of moments, but looking at the matchup as a whole, pretty much kind of a similar picture to last game. At least in the early game, it's 4-3 currently, only 100 gold advantage on the side of First Blood Marauders.
Yeah, definitely a very bloody game though.
Yeah, I'm trying to take a look here because there's such a big gold difference in, or I should say CS difference in the bot lane. It's been caught up a little bit. I know when we get back to game here, we can take a look. Currently, the Ashe is only up by about 12. Not that long ago, it looked like she was up by almost 20. So it's been cut a little bit. Mid lane, though, CS advantage actually going to the Katarina, who's up by 11. And so as a whole, I guess it's pretty even across the board. We're going back and forth. Certain lanes with lane advantages and CS advantages. Only 1 kill advantage, so I'm guessing we're going to see more of the action when we start hitting level 6.
Yep.
As the pause will resume.
Yep, and there is the unpause, and we'll have to see, because both these... actually, Lance has the Ignite up, but Omero doesn't, so that could be pretty huge, since that is a literal difference of, like, about, what, 200-ish damage right now? 250? Big meme.
Really big meme. He's the best part is he's soaking up all this damage, but getting just punched and face breakered. I think he bit off way more than he could chew. You see the question mark ping too. That's kind of what I'm thinking. As he's just gonna waste some time. He forces top lane stud to stay in lane for a little bit longer. Tries to get it in lane, and he just gets shut down by Mike, who's right in the right place at the right time. Gets an assist over to top lane stud. And there comes another trade. Mike taking a fight with King. Tips out.
Yep, the Ignite and Death Lotus were used in the mid lane by Lance for that trade. Granted, Death Lotus has a pretty decently low cooldown, so not going to be the biggest loss here.
As far as levels goes, you see really big meme up only by a little bit of farm, but still up by a whole level. It'll soak so much lane XP coming from the top side and the bot lane. We'll hit 6 after about 2 more camps, maybe 3. But lift a little bit slower jungle pressure. I know last game we saw Dragon being taken almost immediately by the side of First Blood Marauders. On the top lane, more trades. Going to see some healing recovery. A little pokey.
Oh, that was so close.
I feel like if he got Scarl back, he would have gone full in for that dive. He does actually have his ultimate there. He does have charge up, but got a little bit too late.
He's gonna hit it here, yeah.
Yeah, I think he got it there. Ultimate. Right as he was going for the dive, probably would have gone for it. So you go to be able to dismount and lose that turret aggro. Here comes the teleport though from top lane stud, and Mike is in the top lane as well. Mike taking a fair amount of damage though, does land the counter strike.
Ooh, the showstopper is available for top lane stud, but chooses not to use it.
Ooh, what are we seeing the setup here? Really big meme. Also on the top side, we'll get sighted out in a ward force to do a little dip and dive and dash. Quick draws over the wall, and we'll start the Rift Herald as they did see First Blood Mike with that recall. On the bot side. Oh, yeah, Kings. Okay, back to the bot side. Seeing more bullying going on down here. Not much of farm lane. I'm very proud of Amon here, soaking up as much XP and much farm as he can under tower. But again, like, what are they supposed to do in that bot lane matchup?
I mean, Omelet, he definitely needs a Vam Scepter ASAP just for that extra sustain, because that 10% lifesteal, it's going to add up a ton when you're eating all this poke. But that is a Rift Herald picked up here by a really big meme, and we have an all-in in the top lane.
Yep, the jousting doesn't quite land. Oh, Facebreaker doesn't quite land, and they actually forced the retreat, the
charge.
The charge going out for King. I'm actually surprised they didn't commit to that. Like I said, didn't have vision of First Blood Mike, so they had no idea if it was going to turn into a 2v2, giving top lane stud that respect that he deserves, that Chad that he is in the top lane.
Yeah, I mean, he was 2 levels up on this set compared to Kang's. and 3 levels up on Meme. So there is a very real chance he would have been able to win that 2 versus 1.
Now, First Blood, or I should say really big, no, I'm confused. First Blood Mike does take the dragon, but he does get sighted on a ward. Here comes the invade, really big Mike going for the end of the line, a lot of damage, but Mike is coming on lines. He does have that amazing Blood Razor, and the flash will secure the kill. On the top side, there goes the Showstopper. Does Kangs, will he get Scarl back in time? Is he getting punched and knocked around? He does. The jousting lands, and that's a shutdown on the side of Kangs. As he's playing on the edge of his seat there. Again, I feel like that's what all Kled players have to do. And maybe that's just what Michigan has to do to keep their mental from going boom like the last game here. Just going all in. Only down by about 1,000 gold.
Yeah, and top lane Stead doesn't have the teleport here, so he's gonna lose a lot of tower damage there. But interestingly enough, oh wait, a kill did happen in the mid lane, and I guess we just
we missed it too. Yeah, there's too much other stuff going on here. We just kind of forgot about that matchup. Cleanse is popped by Baffro, as well as the Shield Force, the Flash. But here comes Graves, right place, right time, finds the shutdown onto Mike. And unfortunately for Omelet, just doesn't quite have the damage or the items yet to go and compete toe-to-toe with that opponent, or that opposing AD carry, I should say. Caspian sitting on both end components of Blade of the Rune King. Whereas poor Omelet only has that Damn Scepter.
Yep.
As you said, you're right, yeah. Tales of Amaro did find that kill in the mid lane. I guess we now know.
Granted though, Berserkers are still a huge power spike for Kog'Maw since he... Oh, fine lands. Don't think there's going to be too much, but here comes Big Meme. He is spotted out though, so nothing too much coming of it. But... Oh, no.
He's like, I don't know where to commit. Yeah, I didn't sweep that bush, so they know... First Blood Marauders does know where he's at this entire time. Watching him roam up to the mid lane. That will give Mike a little bit more confidence to go for an invade here.
Yep.
And top lane stud. Ooh, maybe a sticky situation here, being chased out from the top lane.
But look where Mike is. This could actually just be a pincer onto Kangs.
Yep, does get hit by the jousting, now trading back and forth. We are going to see Conqueror proc and get stopped. Stopping the charge. We'll get now stuck in that 1v2 situation. Mike and top lane stud. First support of the Showstopper. Maybe should have saved it actually for Lance, but he gets burned and dunked on. Haymaker doesn't quite land. Does find a kill onto Omero, so that's a really good pickup there by Lance. But Rifttailed is spawned as well by Really Big Meme, and that's actually a whole lot of action there, a whole lot of momentum on the side of Michigan.
Oh, top lane stud.
Oh, well, the face striker, the flash to avoid the arrow. Great job by Really Big Meme. He's going to come out on top, hopefully going to try to win this matchup. Does get into the bush, end of the line, does secure the kill. The bot lane, Marauders does pick up the first tower, but I'm trying to break down the situation in my head too, because at first, all got outlined when we saw top lane stud being caught out by Kangs. It then turned into a 2v1 as Mike joined the fray. Kangs does go down. Then we see the mid laners join back into that riverside as Rooftops also spawned in the mid lane. And in the end, Really Big Meme was the last one left. That's as far as I could break that down for you. We don't have a replay system right now at the moment. Like, I don't personally have one, so I can't actually tell you how the rest of it happened. But in the end, we're now tied up, 8-8, all tied up in gold. So we got a game on our hands.
That's true, yeah. Oh, Omero, he's gonna find himself a Kench here. He's gonna land the chain though.
Yeah.
Himself a ward here as the bot lane for First Blood has rotated that mid lane after they got that bot tower first tower.
Yeah. No.
Oh, Romero. Was on a ward though.
I wasn't sure it was gonna be in some trouble there. But man, if that Ash Arrow had landed though, I think that actually would have turned that whole fight around. But the reflex is actually from Really Big Meme to be able to avoid that. I don't even know if he had vision in that bush. I don't know how else he saw it, but crazy. Crazy stuff. This game's a lot closer than I thought it'd be.
Tongue Lash does land, but
distortion. And the
double distortion.
Yeah. Probably important that he used that actually to avoid the smoke spring slow.
Yeah, but we do have a Cloud Dragon spawning here in about 20, so both teams gonna be eyeing that up, and the ultimate here for Omero might not be up if they do start immediately. I mean, granted, LeBlanc Mimic, pretty short cooldown for an ultimate, but hey, it might come into play.
Yeah, we haven't actually seen a full 5v5 team fight here, so
Cypher level 1.
Yep.
Oh, that was 4 versus 4.
Top lane is still 1v1ing, so it kind of evens out. Dragon
There's
though
the charge.
without any contest. Charge, as you said, popped by Kangs, and a little late to the party. They were able to dip out in time. This teleport's about to come up. Oh, Caspian, that's not the 1v1 matchup you want to be in. Walking into Lance.
Yeah, you might have done a pretty damn good job bot lane of out-farming your opponent, getting that kill and getting that first tower, but that's still a Katarina. Lance didn't even use Ignite.
Almost a 20 CS differential. I kind of expected it to be more, actually, to be honest. But, it's what it is. Great rotation now coming up from Michigan as they're moving up. They did get that kill, so are they going to capitalize on it on the map? And they're going to capitalize on it by taking the Rift Herald.
Look at top lane though, because Stud, he might have to be a little careful here. The Hawkshot does spot all 4 members though, so he's just going to wisely back off.
Looks like they're just going to concede it. A lot less proactive this time around on the side of Marauders. Last game we saw them extensively around those objectives, collecting every single dragon, only dropping 1 Rift Herald to a sneak, not even contesting some of these objectives. Like that Rift Herald. They didn't quite have the members there in place, so hope for the best. Hard to tell right now. I'm trying to determine how much damage Zyra actually has. There comes a point where she just kind of melts through everyone.
So, I've played a decent amount of Zyra support, and it depends on the build you go, but you can still usually reliably burst an AD carry. So, even with this build right now, just thanks to her base damages, the plant frenzy if you get them caught up with the ultimate, not to mention just the flat pen from the Sork boots. Ooh, Lance. Does he fancy himself a trade here?
Oh! Shunpo Gunblade does land the Bouncing Dagger.
That was a lot of damage, though. That was just, what, 1 twirl and 1 Shunpo?
Yep. Those Bouncing Blades hurt real bad. And actually on a champion like LeBlanc, it's actually kind of hard to play around, because if you go back to your distortion, the dagger will still follow you. The blade will still bounce behind you, giving a way in for Lance to deal more damage, get those resets. Really big, maybe caught out. There goes the counter strike, forced the ultimate to get away. Arrow is popped, but it's going to get devoured for safety here. And Mike, whoa, will barely escape with that ignite. So I thought they were in a good situation there. Oh, they are in a great situation there. They're going to put that for LeBlanc. Omelet, they'll go in ham, flashing forward, trying to eliminate everyone, but does not have the Ruin's Hurricane to hit multiple targets. So Mike comes back around, forced to flash away to avoid the Kog'Maw passive. And Bafro, the last one standing, does get taken out in that 4v4. Back to the top lane 1v1.
That's a 4-for-1 in the favor of First Blood there.
Yeah, and again, I'm trying. That's the way it started. It started with the Jax jumping onto the Graves, and it was a lot of back and forth. We saw Lance actually getting onto that backline, but just not quite enough damage there. Here comes the dive. First Blood, or first top lane. What am I saying? First Blood. Hey, the flash kills, and that's it. Who needs play-by-play when you're just watching those two go at it? Showstopper to try to take out Kangs does get reset though as he gets dismounted and has enough damage to take him out. Lance finds a kill though on the jungler in the mid lane, and there's just action on all parts of the map here.
And I learned a new interaction that Katarina can still twirl on her daggers even if she gets CC'd. That is interesting.
Which CC was it actually? That
was the Counter-Strike stun.
Oh,
Kangs has to be careful. He is on a ward here with lowish health. Granted, it is just a singular Zyra here. Okay, I'm just gonna...
Great value there from that charge, taking both the first tier and almost all of the health on that second tier. And once again, we're all tied up exactly the same. 33.3 to 33.3, 12 to 12k, or 12 to 12 kills.
Yeah, the only differential is the dragons right now. We do have an Infernal coming up here in about 35 seconds, and it will be an Infernal Soul this game, so... If you thought the fights were explosive before, just wait until you factor in an Infernal Soul.
Yeah, and for these team fights as a whole, I mean, sure, we're seeing great wins coming out from Marauders as they're finding the right picks. You know, Kog'Maw's not able to quite come online yet. He's only sitting on 1 item. But at the same time, Kang's great value as he's taking turrets on the top side. Almost
Mike?
Oh, in a bad situation there as Mike is coming down, devoured, and he just gets out. But that's going to be a reset there, forcing the recall from Omelet right as the dragon is about to spawn.
Yeah, and that's a Jax who hasn't finished a full item yet. That's the burst he can put out right now. Just wait till he finishes that Triforce. But Dragon being started up a bit here by First Blood, we'll see. Kangs is in the pit.
Difficult spot to be as well. You look at the end of the line, and the Shumpo in the back line does get stunned. Not enough. That's your word, but you play Katarina. You just get knocked up and knocked out. Dragon is secured by Mike, and Bafro is now on the retreat. Will get slowed and rooted. That's his second death of the game. And I thought for a moment it might be a good spot, actually, for Michigan. You know, being stuck in the pit like that with that AD carry. Caspian did have flash, but when you're stuck like that and you're looking at the Graves, you can just bounce into the line up the Dragon Wall. Oh, Counter-Strike to avoid that damage. The flash and the stun into the Counter-Strike as he went for that finisher. Very unfortunate timing there. But anyway, as I was saying, back to it, so Katarina just kind of went at the wrong time. Got CC'd, got knocked up, wasn't waiting really for those cooldowns to go down, and these got taken out one by one. I was actually really surprised, how quickly Kangs went down in that dragon fight as well.
Yeah, instantly melted and then just instantly popped off his horse. Maybe he just needs a bit more tankiness? Who knows, but still. A clean 3-for-0 in the favor of First Blood there, and they get their third soul of the game. And it's kind of a bit of a deja vu to the last game where we saw MSU there trying to contest these dragons, but they just couldn't really win the fights around them.
Yeah, I think you pretty much hit the nail on the head there. As it looks like we're finally starting to see the first lead being taken, the first pull away here. Dragons have all been locked down. They're sitting on the soul in the next 3 minutes. And a little bit of a goal lead on the side of Marauders.
Yeah, not much though. Still anyone's game.
Yeah, as games scale out, which team do you actually favor the later this game goes? Because if you're looking at the scaling factor for both sides, you do have Kog'Maw on one hand. On the other hand, you have Jax.
Yeah, it's kind of really hard to call. But this Baron's being called right now. Gonna be spotted out though, and everyone from the side of First Blood just gonna skedaddle on off. Oh,
and that's really what's going to be. You really can't give up any of these super big objectives. Baron was actually the nail in the coffin for the last game. Kind of what triggered that FF. On top of the soul. And the top of the...
Oh,
yeah.
big meme giving us a big meme.
Too. There you go.
He knows the camera's on him.
Even Grandmaster players sometimes mess up the little things.
Oh. Either way, though, Baron is going to be the name of the game here for the next bit here, as both teams, they don't really want to give it up. Although, granted, in 2 minutes, once that next Infernal spawns, that'll probably be the new name of the game, because you don't want to be giving over an Infernal Soul. Oh, there's the charge!
Trying to force this fight, maybe a little bit early. Kangs really trying to head in here in the 1v3, but here comes reinforcements. Bafro does find his way to the top lane action, throws out the tunnel, but no lockdown. There's Mike. And he just jumps back out. Okay, it's a stalemate. We're just gonna call it even.
But like you said, it feels like Kangs just went in like 2 or 3 seconds too early to that fight, because everyone was collapsing and they're all on the same page, just not on the same time.
Exactly. Burn those cooldowns a little bit too early. So when we did see the ultimate from Bafro coming out, he was a little bit behind, and they didn't have any lockdown. Omera gonna recall. I know they just pinged her, sighted on that ward, but does cancel the recall. Does know she's getting pursued. Gets out in time.
Yeah, it's usually a little hard to catch a LeBlanc.
Yeah, dang, LeBlanc's so slippery. But now coming into the 4th Drake of this game, 8th Drake overall for Marauders. They're going to go for the double soul special in this series.
Yeah, and if they pick up the soul, that will actually be a huge game changer for them in this match, because Sure, they have the gold lead right now, but they don't have anything substantial in terms of their gold lead. So getting this soul, it would definitely help them quite a bit in the whole league department.
Here comes the positioning where we'll see Michigan positioning first. Getting some vision. Devour is popped. Omelet's gonna get in the background. That's what'll change this land onto Lance. Now getting zoned out. Vision's cleared as we're seeing First Blood Marauders really moving in for the action here. Yeah,
But Dragon started. There's the
Charge
charge.
is popped. Trying to get on the back line. PJER is down to the back line. Of course, the ultimate. Kangs is off of Scarl. Playing it front to back. Omelet sitting in the back line with that living artillery. Trying to deal some damage onto the backliners. Mike, though, has slain the top laner. And the mid and the bot go down. Double kill actually for the Ash Caspian 9. There goes the jump and the finisher. Triple kill for the Ash. That's going to be the Soul and a Baron rotation for the side of First Blood Marauders. And sure, everything was even up until about the 20-minute mark, but kind of feels a little bit like the last game here as we're moving into the same last two big objectives.
Yeah, because that fight started off pretty evenly, but it just kind of started to fall apart for MSU the longer it went, and it ended as a 5-for-1. And so now that's an Infernal Soul and a Baron picked up here for the side of First Blood, and they're definitely in the driver's seat right now with this 7k gold.
Biggest difference here, Kang's trying to find that engage, jumping onto the back line, but that Stranglethorn's able to really zone the rest of that damage out, knocks out Kang's really before they can find any follow-up. They just don't really have the tools to get onto that back line so easily. I'm not actually even sure what happened to Lance, not sure if they were zoned out, but unable to get to that back line where that Jax and top lane Stud had a much easier time jumping onto Omelet from a flank position. And I think that seems to be really kind of the crucifix of this whole deal, is that the flanks that are coming up from the top lane, from Marauders, really kind of posing a lot of trouble for these AD carry, kind of protect the AD carry comps that we're seeing on the side of the red team, whose surrender boat just failed 2-1. So we're not going to see surrender this time around.
But this is going to be a huge turning point. Omelet might just die here, though.
And yeah, you called that one. Omelet is down, Babra was flashing, top lane Stud finds the double kill, in the mid lane, more action coming out. There goes the Root and the Strangle Thorns. First Blood Mike on Rampage, triple kill for good old top lane Studs. Just keeping it cool, calm, and collected as First Blood Marauders walks it in. Baron minions in the mid lane, down goes mid inhibitor. And that's probably going to be the end of the game here. There's 10 seconds left on the Omelet respawn timer.
Yep, a very clean 5-for-0 fight there in both those lanes for First Blood, and they're going to end this off and make sure they keep their first seed as they had the KDA a little there, taking this series 2-for-0.
Exactly that end of the regular season, I believe, as we're going to move into playoffs. As you said, that pretty much locks them in. Michigan not going to move on into that fourth place spot. But yeah, I think that for the side of First Blood Marauders, really trying to close it up. I think that end of the scoreline there, 26-13, really paints a picture that they were the ones in control the entire time. No matter how much we talked about how close they were, the kills were the same, the gold was so close, the towers were the same. When it really came down to the end of the line, they just had the comp that came out on top. They had the damage, they had the flank, they had the positioning, and really, really well played on the side of First Blood Marauders. But for the kind of comp that they had, I gotta give credit though. Gotta give credit to Michigan. I did think they'd get as far as they did. But you look at the damage charge right now, just look at the damage that Kog'Maw's putting out. If you're going to invest in a first round rotation of picking up Kog'Maw and Tahm Kench, I feel like you just have to draft more tools to protect your AD carry. If I was at Kog'Maw and I see like, hey, we're going to pick Kog'Maw first round, and then you pick up a Katarina and you pick up a Graves, and I'm thinking to myself, like, why'd I pick Kog'Maw again? So that to me was the biggest question mark going into this draft. And you can kind of tell by the damage there how much of an impact he could have. So it kind of is what it is.
Yeah, and sadly, what the result is that it is a loss here for the side of MSU, and they're probably going to be kicked out of playoffs, bar some miracle. Still, though, like you said, they definitely put up a good fight.
And at the end of the day, that's what it's all about. We're just here to have fun. We're just here to play games, and we're here to move on to playoffs in just a little bit. That's not actually today. I'm talking about the future, but this is actually going to be the end of the series of the UCL week number 7 between good old First Blood Marauders and Michigan State B team. Thank you guys for tuning in. We had an excellent night. Hope you guys have a wonderful time yourselves. Staying safe, staying sanitary, all that stuff. Make sure we're having a great time out in the world. So for the most part, thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you. Go Farino. Hope you had a great time tonight casting at least a somewhat exciting game. There's a lot of action, right, in both these matches.
Definitely an action flick if it were a movie.
Yeah, sure. Definitely. Yeah, so thank you guys for tuning in. Thank your producers. Make sure this whole thing runs all smoothly. And we'll see you guys next time. Have a good night.